Welcome to the Emily the Mystic Show. You're about to walk through a portal that leads to all things mystical, magical, spiritual, and supernatural. I'm your host, Emily. I'm a spiritual mentor, an Akashic Records practitioner and teacher, an intuition development coach, and a galactic channeler. If you're an old soul on a self-discovery and healing journey, you are in the right place. We'll be diving in deep to some of my favorite mystical topics, including manifestation, past lives, the spirit world, energy, and so much more. Get ready to embrace your inner mystic and live your most authentic life possible. The portal is now open. Welcome, my dear listener, to another episode of the Emily the Mystic Show podcast. I am so excited to introduce you to today's guest, who happens to be a dear friend of mine and a local Philadelphian who I had the pleasure of co-hosting local Breathwork live events with over a period of time here in the Philadelphia area, which was so much fun. And she is so talented. So I can't wait for you to get to know her. And that is the mystical Tiffany Calhoun. Tiffany is a multi-disciplinary intuitive healer, breathwork coach, soul alignment coach, and a reflector, as well as a forever student to the light. Her self-healing journey has led her to discover and learn and seek mastery in healing modalities that have personally transformed her own life in every possible way, from mindset, relationship to food, body image, sensuality, relationships with friends, family, and connection with God, source, and universal energy. Working with Tiffany, you can expect a healing experience that will help you release somatic traumas and transmute any negative patterns that are holding you back from feeling light, aligned, and empowered. Using breath, Reiki, the Akashic Records, journaling, and intuitive guidance, Tiffany helps you discover your authenticity, love, and self-acceptance, and stepping into your highest timeline, aka your best life. Yippee! Welcome, Tiffany, to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Yay! And can you share with us your astrology, sun, moon, and rising?
Yes, I'm a Scorpio sun, Leo rising, and Gemini moon.
Yes. Love that beautiful combination. And you've already shared with us that you are a reflector.
I am. Yes.
So what does that mean to you? Because that's a pretty unique energy type.
Yeah. So as a reflector, I am here to sense when the collective is out of alignment or out of balance or out of wellness. And I feel it like it lights up my whole body as that's a no. And I have to speak on it, and I have to trigger the collective into getting back into alignment. So as you can imagine, the last 4 years have been really fun. I actually didn't find out I was a reflector until November of 2021. So we were like right in the pandemic, and I was like in nervous system shutdown, and it helped me make total sense of what was going on and the role that I have to play. And it's not just the role that I have to play, it's like literally in my body, like causing me wellness or dis-ease, right? So that is the gist of being a reflector. We sense, we feel, we walk between realms. It's pretty cool.
You have all the magical gifts. Yes. Your divine mirror for us. Yes. All of it. So, Tiffany, my friend, how did we get here? Where do you feel called to begin with your journey? I would love to know.
With the podcast today, or do you want to know exactly like my awakening journey and how we got to know each other? Because I think that's a fun story too.
Yeah, let's start with, okay, I'm going to start the question over again. All right, Tiffany, my dear friend, how did we get here? I want to know about your spiritual journey, what led that awakening, and you here to being a spiritual practitioner in this moment.
Yeah, I had a very unique awakening. I've worked in healthcare for the past 15 plus years. And during COVID, I was feeling very much out of balance and very unhappy mentally. And I had seen a friend of mine. She's an ascension teacher, and I didn't know what any of that meant. I was like, okay, April's a little off the rocker. But she held this beautiful retreat in Mount Shasta in 2020. And I was like, oh my gosh, people are getting together and doing things like this. And there was just all these women dressed in white on a mountainside. And I was like, I'm going. I need to go. I need to figure out when this is, and I need to go. So when she held it again in 2021, I signed up immediately and I didn't know what to expect. I was like, yeah, we'll do some yoga, we'll hike. It'll be nice. I'll help get clear and like get a break from the kids because I was like drowning in homeschooling the kids because they were out of school at the time and working. And I went on this retreat and within an hour and a half of getting to the house, the welcoming was like going to headwaters. If you haven't been to Mount Shasta, it's where the stream of water comes out of of Mount Shasta and starts the Sacramento River. So it's been filtering through the mountain, through all those minerals and gold deposits and silica and all that magic for 17 years. And then you go there and it like blesses your stay. We had done that the day before, so I didn't feel called to go with the group. And another group that had been with this retreat before stayed back, and they asked if I wanted to join them for a meditation on the mountain. I was like, yeah, that sounds fun. So we went up, and I immediately went into this like huge physical body activation. I had to be laid down, and energy was just pulsing through my whole body. And I was not in control of anything that was happening. This is like, I think I'm coming for yoga and hiking. And meanwhile, like, what the hell is happening to my body? I have all these women around me. Like, some are playing drums, some are playing crystal bowls, like Reiki masters. I'm so blessed to have been in that setting when this happened to me. And just a full body activation. I had no idea at the time. It took me years to put together that this was Kundalini activation, and could feel like all this energy come out of me. It created this ball of light, and I like pushed it out of me. And people were like, our hair flew backwards. Like it was like such a like intense like release. And then everything cleared, and I felt like I was like floating. The wildest thing happened next. The energy started to go through the group, and I was with two friends who were new to all of this, and they started to have this activation happen to them. And I was with them in their minds, seeing what they were seeing, knowing what was going on in their visions, and experiencing how this energy was impacting their activation as well. And afterwards, we had a chance to talk, and I was telling them what I was seeing, and they're like, no, that is exactly what I was walking through when the energy was like rushing through my body. So like this, like clear cognizance, is that the vision, came like online for me in that moment. And yeah, the rest of the retreat, I was like floating on cloud nine. I felt like I had returned home, and I came home and I was actually like 5 pounds lighter.
Wow.
And then everything just started happening in my life. Like I got connected to the Akashic records. I started reading them like a month later. And before all this, I was like, I was a science girl. Like I went to school for science, and I was like, yeah, what is spirituality? What is God? Like, what is all of that? And yeah, it just opened me up in so many ways. So that is my awakening journey.
That's incredible. And I love that you share that, because I feel like it's so unique and so special to hear someone's story where you had such a visceral full body awakening, because that's not always the case for people. But when it happens, it's so profound and amazing that you had that experience.
Yeah, I got shot out of a cannon, and it took a while for my like brain to catch up with what was going on. I came home like saying all these things, and people who knew me were just like falling out of my life. Like they were like, what is this chick talking about? So yeah, it's very, very fast. But yeah, all good. It took me a little while to anchor it into my body and make sense of it. And I think that's normal. And I think people need to have more grace as they experience activations and the journey of like anchoring that into their body. And that's why I'm so passionate about that work, about embodying these gifts, because we can spend so much time dissociated and disconnected and floating and all of that. But what does that do for this lifetime? If you can't anchor it in, like, you're not going to get the benefit of that. And you're not going to have the magnetism and mastery of life.
Well, and I think that speaks to such an important point, and it's 4:44 p.m. our time as I say this, which is that I think so many of us went through such a rapid, accelerated awakening post-pandemic, during the pandemic, post-pandemic, after living, pretty traditional life, pretty traditional human life. And all of a sudden we kind of get shot out of the cannon into this new spiritual existence, which of course we know is not new. It's our ancient gifts coming online. But at the same time, it's important because we're coming in with this invaluable perspective of what life is like as a human being here on this earth, the day in and day out, the 9-to-5 job, the kids and their activities, all of it. And then weaving both together and learning how to integrate and embody the spiritual with the physical, I think is an important part of why some of us, myself included, had that powerful reawakening journey during that time.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, this great awakening, and spiritual seekers just remembering who they are and unlocking these gifts. Um, yeah, remembering's not enough. Like, we need to embed that into every layer of our body and ground into it. And when we do that, we definitely feel like we have a sense of control over it. And it's not just a thing that turns on randomly. So true mastery isn't about collecting activations, right? Or chasing mystical experiences or waiting for all those synchronicities and those signs. It's about embodying wisdom and integrating your power and anchoring that into this golden timeline.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you get home from this trip, you start working with the records. How did you start incorporating these somatic modalities that you're talking about into helping you embody this new activation that you received?
Yeah, so I just had a download about this the other day because I was like, why am I creating this? But obviously my breathwork has morphed. And we'll talk about that today, but I'm like, why am I creating this? And spirit just led me through this journey of remembering all of these insane moments of breathwork and synchronicities that I've had that I've just kind of like dismissed. So, yeah, the pandemic was crazy. And I had a friend of mine who went on that trip with me. And then afterwards she was like, I'm getting into breath work. Do you want to do it with me? We can do it over Zoom. And I was like, yeah, that actually sounds really good. I want to try it. She sent me the link. I could barely hear the woman who was leading it because she was leading it in person for them and she didn't have a microphone set up. So I was barely hearing her, but I was following what she was telling me to do, which was like this 2-part inhale, 1-part exhale, the holotropic breath that I lead. And her style is it's just very different than what I now teach, but it was a good initiation into the practice. And within, I don't know, like 25 minutes, I was on a spaceship. I was like, how did I get here? Like, why am I in outer space on a spaceship right now with my Pleiadian higher self? Like, what is this? What is going on? And they showed me that I'm a dream weaver and like all of this crazy stuff and like my Lemurian past life, like activation right then. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. I need to do this more often. And I couldn't find a coach that I resonated with, and then eventually did and decided to just get trained in it because it was helping me so much to bring peace to my nervous system during this like crazy time, right? I mean, like we were oh gosh, we were in a bad place humanity wise. Like this breath work really helped me to calm myself and make sense of past traumas. And I was living through, and she knows this, so I'll say it anyway. But my mom was helping me with the kids, and she was getting triggered by my son and spending a lot of time yelling at him. And it was making me feel really off. Like I was trying to get my work done, and I'm hearing my kids get yelled at by my mom all day. And I'm like, I can't live like this. So we've since had conversations about this, and we've come to peace with that. but like I'm more of like a nurturing parent when it comes to that. Like I'll figure out why he's triggering me and we'll talk about it instead of yelling. But the breath work really helped me there. And then yeah, when I started doing it, I started weaving in more mysticism than my coach had, and started making it my own. And I started evolving it to take it away from like a masculine energy that was taught to me and making it more of a feminine energy. And so a lot of the breath work that people are doing online is very quick, very rapid, and it's very overwhelming for the nervous system. And that didn't feel good in my body. So I didn't want to lead people through that. So we do a lot of body-based work, body scans in the beginning. We get comfortable with what's happening to our bodies. We feel like we've given consent to the breath, to these activations, right? Like it's a slow process. And then we get further into the journey and it evolves into like a full body opening, a full body activation. And my breath work really helps you create a portal to communicate with source yourself, with however you want to do that. If you want to communicate with source, if you want to choose to meet your star family, my breath work is able to do that through the stories that I weave in how I sense energy as a reflector. So you know this from, our breath works together. I walk around the room or on the Zoom call. I have no idea what I'm going to say. I have guidelines, I have themes, I have bullet points, but I have no idea what's actually going to come out of my mouth. And as I walk through the energy, like, okay, we're talking about love languages now. Okay, we're talking about, parentified children now, reparenting this like inner child, and it shifts and it changes and it evolves. And yeah, so Spirit was guiding me through this download that I was having, and they were like, and remember how you started in the spaceship, and remember how you led a breath work on Lionsgate and you weren't supposed to. Like you got the schedule changed and you were thrown a breath work that somebody had named astral codes, and you were like, okay, I'll make this galactic. And then it became a galactic breath work. And then, here I am leading breath work at a retreat, and I see your post about the galactic Akashic records. And I was like, heck yeah, I want to know more about that. I want to be able to do that. And it's actually evolved into like galactic portal breathwork, like Merkaba activation, so we can go to meet our star family. And all of these crazy aspects come in and help to shape this unique, ascension technology that I'm creating now.
Hell yeah. I love it. And I also love that you weave together the science with the spiritual as well. So I want to know, as someone who has a degree in science, which is so amazing, how would you describe breath work from a scientific lens and what it does to the body?
Yeah. So scientifically, there's so much, every body system is impacted by breath work. We have our autonomic, which is just functioning by itself. And there's nothing we can control in that. We cannot control how fast we're digesting. We cannot control our arousal response. We can't control our blood pressure, but the breath can control all of that. And we can control the breath, right? So when we're able to bring conscious connected breathing practice, we're able to manipulate multiple body systems. And so we can downregulate or we can upregulate. And so you'll hear parasympathetic breath work. That's the kind that calms you down. And it's really great for children. It's really great for stress. It's really great for when you can't sleep at night. You want to do those kind of breath works, right? It's like the box breath, the 4-7-8. But if we want to activate ourselves, we do, you know, holotropic breath or diaphragmatic breath. Like you've heard these terms thrown about. Wim Hof, right? That's all activating breath. So that activates your parasympathetic response. And I guess the whole point of doing that is to create a level of stress in your body and resilience, right? So stress isn't always bad, but resilience is always good, right? And so breath work kind of does that. It makes us, it brings in more oxygen. It brings in more carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide at a higher rate actually helps us uptake more oxygen. So think about what oxygen does in the body. It's going to help with cell turnover. It's going to help with detox. it's going to help with lowering our blood pressure. And when we breathe at 23 times a minute, we're not taking in enough oxygen to be able to do all of those system repairs, right? And so when we breathe rapidly through these holotropic breath activations, over a period of time, we're taking in more carbon dioxide to usher more oxygen to our cells, and we're actually like repairing ourselves, right? And that's why you can also feel like you got hit by a truck after you do this style of breath work. But the really crazy thing that happens is about 55 minutes in, your body, your brain produces organic DMT, which is the molecule in ayahuasca. And, I've shared this story with you before, but I think it's really profound. Like, you sit there as a breathwork practitioner and wonder, why does her brain produce DMT? Like, what is the whole point of this? Is it so we can lay on the floor with a bunch of breath gurus and space out for a little bit, take a nice little trip? Like, or is it something more, right? And I had the gift of watching my dad die this past year. And he had a 6-year battle with cancer, so we knew it was coming. And he was placed on hospice, and he was doing really well, and then he wasn't. So I got to be with him in the last few days of his life. And your body actually moves into what's called like a death rattle breath. And you breathe like we're breathing on the floor. And so as I'm watching my dad die, I'm like, oh my God, like we breathe like this. Like this is the breath that I lead. And like really rapid, short. That's not going to play on the replay.
I heard it. Yes, it will.
I know you heard it. Not going to play on the replay. It never does. This is the story of all my breathwork replays. And then his hospice nurse came, and she was like, yeah, try not to like agitate him because, his consciousness is already moved on. We're just waiting for his body to wind down now. And I was like, oh my God, the breath is what makes the consciousness move on. The breath activates DMT, and the DMT is present with you during this process of dying. You're making it because that's the only way that you can breathe at the end. It's healing all your pain, making you feel euphoric, helping you to meet what's on the other side, whether it be God, the universe. In his case, it was this divine mother, cosmic mother energy. I had the pleasure of giving him Reiki at the end of his life too, and that was really insane, the visions coming through. But it's like the creator created us so perfectly. Like, why would he want us to feel pain, or she, or whatever? Why would Source want us to feel pain at the end of our lifetime? And so the DMT is like this beautiful gift that we can activate. And just this awareness of what it can do, going into the death portal with my father and experiencing him going through that, I was at so much peace. I was like, he's good. Like, let's not touch him. Like, I know we want to touch him and like hold his hand, but like he is journeying. And I was like so calm and helping my mom get through that. It was just such a beautiful gift. So that's the science behind the breath work in a long roundabout way of saying it.
What you just shared is so profound, and how incredible that your soul lined up these experiences to teach you the deeper wisdom and to show you the impact of the work that you're doing and to help you understand the human journey as well. I mean, oh my goodness, incredible.
There are no coincidences, right?
No coincidences. I'm on a journey this year to remaster my health and feel my absolute best while having consistent high energy levels. And so I decided to get some labs to test to see how my hormones were looking, as well as to check for any imbalances within my body. And so I decided to get lab work done through an incredible company called Joy Wellness. That's spelled Joi Wellness. And you can get your lab work done through this amazing company while also getting a unique supplement regimen just for you to support your health. They also provide a variety of different wellness options and health coaching for helping you get your energy levels back and feel your best. So if you want to do high vibrational lab work like I did, you can use code Emily the Mystic at checkout to get your labs at a discounted rate. If you've ever had a breathwork journey, which I can speak to as well, is that when you're in the journey, you feel you're experiencing things that you can't necessarily normally experience in meditation. You are off in the cosmos, you are revisiting past memories, you are meeting with your guides, you are channeling messages. It's just absolutely amazing what the production of that molecule of DMT can do in a natural and organic way through just the breath to be able to help facilitate opening your third eye and opening the awakening into these other dimensions and other realms. It's unlike anything else.
Yeah. And that's the coolest thing about it. It's actually, it's taken me from, somebody who would be curious or want to dabble in like other mind altering substances to say, no, like I can do this in an hour and a half and I can be sober in 25 minutes. Like the DMT doesn't stay forever. The breath work is so beneficial to your body. And then the DMT comes on and it's there for 25 minutes. And then, if your kid barged in the room, it would take you a minute to get yourself together. But like you can go on with your day then. It's not the type of thing where it's like, oh no, now I'm tripping for 6 hours. I'm throwing up all over the place. Like it's so much more accessible than like a jungle ayahuasca experience. And I've done the jungle ayahuasca experience and I think, I don't know, I think the DMT breathwork tops it.
I love that. Yes, so true. And I want to speak to for a moment someone who may be brand new to this and who hasn't experienced breathwork before. I know for myself, before I was graciously, before Tiffany helped me understand breathwork and get to know it better, I myself had some resistance and a little bit of fear that, well, is my body going to feel out of control? Am I going to get dizzy? Am I going to be lightheaded? All of these human ego mind fears that can come up. How can someone who may be nervous about it, who hasn't done it before, work through that? What can they expect?
Right. I think the best way to start is to make sure that you have a good guide. This is not the style, like you can do parasympathetic breath work on your own. You can just, plug on something and do a box breath for 20 or 30 minutes. That's super easy. You can even do it for like 3 minutes would be helpful, right? If you're going to do one of these longer journeys where you're going to be producing DMT, you want a guide that's at least trained, like not just a YouTube guide. You want somebody who's experienced it, who's trauma informed, who knows what your body is experiencing. And then if you want to take it to the next level, you go with somebody who understands the energy behind these activations. And that's not something I have found. So I think that is part of what has like inspired me to create my own technology here with these Lightbody activations and all the things that I do during it. Like you were there for the January one that we did for your membership. We were receiving codes, like light codes. It was beautiful. I mean, as a facilitator, I even got upgraded and I wasn't even in the breath, right? It was so dope. But like you want to go through a serious introduction process to the breath. I like to take the first 25 minutes and I like to go slow. Like I talked about, like we are not jumping straight into cold water here. We're like wading in. And this is when like your body has the most resistance. Your brain is doing that thing where it's trying to talk you out of it. Like, oh, this isn't safe. Like, why are we doing this? It's completely safe if you're laying down, if you have all your parameters set. And yeah, go through the first 25 minutes and do it at your own pace. Don't do it at the pace of a macho guy on the internet who wants you to, mix Wim Hof into your day. Like do it at a pace that feels good for you. You're in the driver's seat. And that's really what I encourage throughout it. And then also scan your body, get present with it. As women who've experienced trauma, we dip out at the first sign of like, gosh, what is the word I'm trying to find? Discomfort. We dip out. You can edit that. And unfortunately, the problem with that is that when we're not present in our body, we're not able to heal, right? We're always looking, we're like externalizing our authority for someone else to heal us. And this is really an internalized process. So I'm walking you through, I'm doing the scan. I'm like reminding you, we hold stress in our shoulders. So your shoulders, let's try to breathe into your shoulders, get them more relaxed. Maybe you need to do some rolls. Maybe you need to do some, I don't know, shrugs. And I'm walking you through every set, like kind of like a yoga nidra intro. And that really allows you to get comfortable with the process. So that would be like my key takeaways for like, if you're new to breathwork, I wouldn't plug onto YouTube and just find somebody like join your membership, like listen to the breathwork that we have in there. That's a great way to get introduced to it. I have like shorter ones on a breathwork membership that I have. I have longer ones as well. But so yeah.
Yes, I love that so much. And yes, you can get access to Tiffany's Galactic Breathwork session that she did for the membership. I will leave the link in the show notes. And I think you made such an important point, which is an awareness that I've been coming into recently, which is that there's so many people all over the world who've been trained in amazing spiritual modalities, which is great. And it's a great place where everyone needs to begin. But not every practitioner has the ability to tap into these higher dimensional frequencies. And I think that's what makes the work that you do so special with breathwork, is that you have the capacity and you have the gifts to go there, to the higher dimensional realms, to the galactic knowledge, to the galactic wisdom, and also be able to hold the space for someone else, for your clients, to help have that experience and be in the energy in a really safe and protected way.
Yeah. Thank you for noticing that. That's one of my gripes that's coming through a lot right now. This, shopping out our authority to like these internet gurus, and like obviously there's some good, there's some bad out there, but integrity is the most important thing. And I just had a post about this the other day. Like, just because you've had a spiritual awakening doesn't mean you need to monetize it, and there's a lot of people that are, and it's out of integrity, and then they fall off. You know what I mean? Like they'll push hard for something for a while. Their voice is really loud. They'll get a lot of followers. But they'll stop because they burn themselves out because it's ingenuine, right? So I think discernment is definitely key in choosing your breathwork practitioner. And also what you're trying to get out of it is key. Like if you're wanting parasympathetic calming of the nervous system, I'm not really your practitioner. That's not really I can do it. I've done it. I have some on my membership. But my jam is activating you. Like that is I just love it so much. Like helping you to, use breath in a quantum way to like embody these activations and just excel into your highest timeline. Like I shoot people out of cannons when they get activated through my breath work. It's beautiful.
Yes. And I have been able to witness it. So I'll start to share the story of how Tiffany and I met, which was that we found each other through Instagram, seeing that we were both in the Philadelphia area. And Philly, we love Philly, but Philly's not the biggest.
Birds.
Go Birds. Yes. Huge Eagles fans here. Philly is not the biggest spiritual community or biggest landing city for spiritual knowledge and wisdom. So we need spiritual practitioners like ourselves in every city to help awaken the grids here and help awaken and lighten the density here and other places. Anyway, so finding Tiffany, seeing that she worked with the records, seeing that she worked with breath work, seeing that she was located here, felt like such a match made in heaven. So we met up and we found a really cool studio to host our first location, to host our first in-person breathwork journey. So we were doing in-person journeys through breath work, through connecting with the records. And it was so cool. So I can really speak to seeing you and the way that you are able to channel a unique session and the transformations that you can physically see people going through with their emotional releases, with the way that the body moves. It's unbelievable to watch.
Yeah. And our in-person ones had body work, which was so cool because you would be doing all the magic of like timeline repairs and energy implant removals and all of that while I was leading the breath work. And then we would switch and you would do the Akashic activation and I would do Reiki or quantum, whatever you want to call what I do. It's not Reiki. It's founded in Reiki.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to tap more into your gifts that have been coming online recently. What have you been discovering with your gifts and working with your clients? What's been coming forward for you?
So, I mean, nothing terribly, terribly new has been coming through. It's just a deeper understanding of gifts that I've been developing over time. So something really cool happened when I was in Stonehenge over the 777 portal. So what was that? 2023? Was that 7 years? 23? We went to Stonehenge for Radiance Activation Retreats, which is a retreat that I have co-hosted. And it's like founding is angelic activations, basically, on ley lines with grid work, right? So we went to Glastonbury and Stonehenge. And when I was there, I was feeling called to kind of do this, like I said, it's not Reiki. I wasn't able to like tap into what it was, but Spirit let me know that it's crystalline light body activations. And so I see golden codes coming in to my field, and it's my job to put them somewhere on the body or remove something from the body, link it up, upgrade it, and then fuse it back in with the aura. So it's like a light body surgery. It's activating the Merkaba. It is like ascension technology that enables you to ascend fully and anchor that into your auric field, right? So that is now getting integrated into this breathwork technology that I'm creating. So that's one thing. The second is obviously I do the Akashic records. And as a clear channel for that, I have been able to tap into Ascended Masters, Galactic, like councils or Galactic guides, but never as fully as I could until I took your course, which shout out to Emily, literally one of the best teachers on the planet.
Thank you.
And that Galactic Akashic Records course was just icing on the cake, like literally opened me up to just a better understanding of the difference between the location, the frequency, the vibration, and all of that, which won't make sense to anybody who hasn't gone through the Akashic Records. So maybe you can describe what I'm saying a little bit better. But now that's coming through. And so the importance of my evolving gifts here, I would say, we talked about outsourcing authority. Something that's really big in my reflector field right now that's giving me like the itchy willies that I have to speak up on is we hold this technology inside of us as individuals, as sovereign beings, and we don't need to tune into another person's YouTube to see what a Galactic Federation is saying. We have the ability to do that on our own. And I'm not calling anybody out because there's like 40 of them that do it, and they all have like hundreds of thousands of followers. But there is, there's the frequency of the field is not as stellar as it should be. And we can do all of this on our own. So part of this technology that I'm creating is so that we can get you there in these sessions and you can tap into your councils. You can tap into source. You can tap into, whatever you want to. If you want to go explore Sirius, I've never been to Sirius, but I want to explore it. I want to know if there's anything there for me. And you can go and you can get upgrades and you can get, all of the gifts that you left in a prior lifetime there, bring them back into your body. And the awareness around these gifts from past lives is what we use to upgrade our current life, right? Like learning that you're a medicine woman and living in that lifetime through an Akashic Records reading is really cool. But having the confidence to know that you've learned how to be one with plants in another lifetime helps you to embody a more naturalistic lifetime here. Like that's the gift. That's embodying that gift into this lifetime. Like we're not saying you have to be a medicine woman in this lifetime. We're saying like more natural, right? Like that's how we're embodying it. So what are we learning? How are we like putting it in our body? So yeah, I would say that's the evolution of my gifts and how it's coming into this new way that I'm going to be leading breath work and teaching breath work. And I'm really excited about it because it's not just breath work at this point. It's an ascension grid work. It's a grassroots effort of like taking the ascension talk and implanting it in your body so that we have hundreds of thousands of souls who then know who they are and don't need the interference in the field. Like they have the discernment on their own. Does that make sense?
Oh my gosh. Abso-freaking-lutely. I am so glad you said that. And it's so true because I feel like one of my gripes too with the spiritual community right now is people going through an awakening and then learning how to channel and then just sort of looking out to what everyone else is doing and trying to replicate that in order to be seen through their gifts. And I can understand where it's coming from because I do think on some level it is coming from a place of being of service. But I think that when it's coming from an inauthentic place, when we're not fully tapping into our own gifts and our own wisdom, then the message is really hollow and there's not a lot to back it up. And I think sometimes too, people can want to share these messages of, especially like what's happening on the world stage and their opinion and their perspective on it. It can be that information can sometimes be harmful, especially if we're channeling through a lens where we're not really trained in using our discernment and we haven't really taken the time to get to know ourselves and our authentic gifts. So I think what you're speaking to and this power of, well, who am I? What's my soul's gift? What's my wisdom? What's my mission? And bringing that down to earth, bringing that into the body. And Emily, one of my biggest things is I know that I'm here to be a guide and to lead people to bring down these higher dimensions into life, into all industries. So that doesn't mean that you need to just be a spiritual practitioner. That means that some of us will be, but for a lot of people, it's also taking these higher dimensions, 5th, 6th, 7th, and beyond, and bringing it into all industries, all communities, all walks of life, all everything, because that's how we're going to build the new earth. That's how we're going to build these higher timelines.
Exactly. Yeah. When we think about your human resume, you have 20 years of experience since your very first job of like delivering newspapers or babysitting, right? Just because I was a stellar babysitter and played with kids like it was my job doesn't mean that I need to do that every day in my life. Or just because I delivered a mean paper route doesn't mean that I need to do that every day in my life. And this is the same thing with like picking up certifications and gifts, and they feel really good. And we have a lot of energy that we're pouring into them for a cycle of time. And so it can feel like, yes, this is what I'm meant to do. But that's a lot of like your ego talking. And when things start to calm down and you start to embody things, gifts can come and go based on what the collective needs. And it's our job as humans who are plugged into this grid, all living in this matrix reality together, to be able to say, okay, well, right now, this is not what they need. They need me to take these higher galactic frequencies that I can get to, and they need me to create art with it, or they need me to create a song with it. I need to create a song that gets people moving again, or you know what I mean? Like, just because we can do it doesn't mean we have to sell it. We can do more with it. It's a multidimensional gift, and it's meant to be used that way. And I barely use my Reiki certification because my Reiki has morphed into something different. And I mean, I can say like I can do Reiki, I could sell Reiki, but like people don't come into my field for that anymore, because it's not like the gift that my magnetism is like, come to me for Reiki. Instead, they get an experience and it's infused with whatever, light energy that I'm using, angelic frequencies and codes. And that's what they receive. It's all embedded. So it's like a bundle, you want to say. So I think when we have teachers and blueprinters and wisdom keepers sharing this information, it's not to dilute the field. It's to enhance everything that we can bring to it.
Yes, bookmark that. Highlight that quote. I love it. I could not agree more. Yes, magic, magic, magic. So, Tiffany, what do you have going on right now in your own business? What are you creating? How can people work with you?
Right now I am working on creating a breathwork library, and I'm going to be uploading all of my breathworks to it. I run a breathwork each month with a new theme called Rewired. So in this breathwork, it's not my technology that I was speaking about earlier. I haven't said the name of it because I'm trademarking it, and it's going to be a movement. But my breathwork offering right now is Rewired. And so each month of the year, we're going to come up with a theme. We're going to go deep on all the subconscious programs that are running behind the scenes. So February, love, right? We're filming this in February. It won't air till March, but March will be money. But I can talk to you a little bit about, we're dealing with the fear of rejection. We're dealing with conditional versus unconditional love that we received as a child and how that plays out in our partnership, our children, our friendships. So anyone who has any difficulty across the spectrum of love, whether it be self-love, parentified, parent to child, child to parent, partnership, friendship, all of that. We're going deep into the programming underneath of that. And then in March, we'll do the same thing for all of the subconscious themes that affect money and abundance, right? And I asked Brian, I was like, what should I do for April, my husband? He goes, Ascension April. And if you know Brian, he's like a dude's dude. Like he's like, like we do this like witchy woo-woo stuff, but then like Brian is just like super grounded, like super Eagles fan, like, which was so funny. I was like, babe, Ascension April, where did that come from? And he's like, I don't know, it just has a ring to it. And so I was like, well, maybe I start to implement this technology into April's session. So your listeners will be able to listen to that, and maybe they can come and experience this, quantum technology that I'm talking about, this ascension work through the breath. And that will be in April. And then also, obviously, I'm on a Galactic channel now, thanks to Emily the Mystic. And that's something that I'm excited about. So I have an offering. It's a written Akashic reading. So it's pretty comprehensive, going through like where your soul origins from, where your soul gifts are from, and so much more. I mean, like it takes me like over 90 minutes to do these. But it's a really comprehensive package that you can then have and revisit whenever you need to. So those are like my most exciting offerings right now. And I am always just doing regular Akashic readings as well. Say that like it's not boring, but
I love it. I love all of it. Yes. Which actually provokes a question for me that I feel called to ask, which is, and I'll speak to this topic as well. We're working in these really high dimensional realms, and we're also human, right? So we have the husband or the partner, we've got the household, you have the kids. How do you ground this into your day-to-day life? And what does that look like to you in bridging the gap between the spiritual and the physical?
How do I ground it into my everyday life? I work 9 to 5, so I can only do sessions from when my kids go to bed, 8 to 11. So that's how I kind of structure it, is I keep it completely disconnected from my life until the end of the day. And if I have a session I do that then. And then I hold, events and stuff on the weekends and at night. My kids, I grew up in like the latchkey era. And so it's really important to me that my kids have like presence from 5 to 8. And yeah, so I'm just unwilling to compromise on that front. And then I give everything my all. So as much as I say I want to leave corporate and I hate it, like I'm like a damn good employee and actually got rated as like my business acumen is critical for the success of my company. And I was like, I don't want to be critical for anything, but I do things like I go all in on them. So when I have my sessions at night, I go all in on them, right? I just completely compartmentalize my life into like 3 segments.
I love that. Yes. And I also have to give a shout out to the partners in our lives who hold the space for the high dimensional wisdom. Even if they don't always fully understand it, they still know how to ground us and bring us down to earth, which I just wanted to speak to because this was just something that came forward for me yesterday. I thought that was really interesting. I was having a conversation with a client of mine, and she was asking me for tips for grounding. And one thing that I came forward that came through me, which I didn't even think of, is that spending time with people in your life who are not always working in the spiritual is actually really healthy because they quickly can help you kind of come back into
Human.
presence, into human. So it's
Yes.
important to have friendships, to have community, to have relationships with people in your life who aren't actively working in the spiritual all the time, because those conversations can actually really help you come back to the human self as well.
Yeah. I like that you said that because I feel like for super high vibrational souls, like, the ones that came here to really make an impact, we have trouble. We have trouble grounding into the fact that like maybe our partner isn't as evolved spiritually. And I know when I first had my awakening, I was like, what can I do to get Brian to get on board with this or be more like, you see some of those power couples on the internet and they're both like super spiritual, but you know what? They burn out really fast. And then they have these conscious decouplings. And it's like, no, I don't want to have a conscious decoupling. I want to have somebody who's my ride or die and who like you have felt the presence in my house. Like my house is, I call it a ground hole. My house is a ground hole. Like we do not feel floaty. Like we are super grounded here. And it's like no matter how many kids are running around like crazy or how many people, how much energy is in my house, it is very grounded. And I take pride in that. But that is Brian. And he's so Syrian and he doesn't even know it. Like honestly, he is a pillar of groundedness. And the dude has no idea what I'm talking about when I say that.
I freaking love it. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Love this conversation so much. So to wrap us up today, Tiffany, what does being a mystic mean to you?
So yes, being a mystic, definitely, it's not about escaping reality. It's not about going on these cosmic fantasies and floating away and all of that. It's not about collecting activations and spiritual experiences and synchronicities. Being a mystic is about understanding higher truth and higher dimensions and fully inhabiting them into this body, this technology. This is the most advanced piece of spiritual equipment that we'll ever have in our life, this temple that we live in, stardust compacted into this human form, and understanding the deepest layers of that, and using that wisdom and that knowledge and that groundedness for like true transformation and mastery of life. Like really excelling and making this our last lifetime here. Like we don't want to do this again. That's mysticism. Like we're not coming back. Samsara is over for us.
I love it. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And any final tips for us for living a mystical life?
I would say if you want to live a more mystical life, stop looking outside of yourself for all of the magic. Start looking within and stop chasing visions. Really start deepening the relationship that you have with your own energy. your own breath, your own subconscious mind, getting deep on like what's running behind the scenes is really important, because half the time we check out as a child and that child is driving us throughout the rest of our life. Like there's a 7-year-old driving a lot of what you do. And that's scary on a large scale. Humanity is being run by 7-year-olds. Like I have a 7-year-old. She's crazy. Like we need to like, we need to upgrade this intelligence in our body. We need to stop looking for others that can do that for us. We need to stop chasing like the healing, and we need to start integrating it. So if you feel like you're spending money on healings and all of this stuff, and you feel like you're not moving forward in life, it's because you haven't taken the chance to integrate it. And, both of us are super in tune to integration work. We have tips. We can help you with that behind the scenes. But honestly, that is the most important thing, because you get on this like dopamine high of like the chase and like learning and discovery, but you have to integrate that at some point.
Got to bring yourself back down to earth.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Reality.
Reality, and blend it. Yes. Blend it with your day-to-day life. I love this. Well, thank you, Tiffany, for sharing your magic and wisdom with us today and all of your galactic codes. I feel like this was such an upgrade and an activation for everybody listening. So thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. And your listeners can find me at Sacred Vitality on Instagram. I don't do the TikTok thing. I'm elder millennial. And also, everyone who listens can have a free month in my Breathwork membership. And the code there is Emily Mystic.
Perfection. The links for all of the above will be in the show notes. Yay.
Thank you for having me. Bye.